Former President Donald Trump was recently on Fox Business, where they apparently never talk about business, and basically straight up claimed that he had saved millions of people from COVID-19. And now this is, of course, after a string of incoherent lies, of which I'm to show you. Take a look.
How do you feel about opening up, having a freedom day like Britain?
We've got to open up. We've got to open up our country. Our country is artificially induced. If you look at the money that's being poured into our country through different things, including the Fed, including deals that are being made in Congress where they have a majority, so they're able to pass things like that fake infrastructure deal where it's 11% infrastructure. And even that's not real infrastructure, a lot of it. And you go 1.2 trillion. Now they want 3.5 trillion. And someday that whole act is going to come to a very bad crashing end. It's very bad. But open up our country. Open it up.
Okay. There's a lot in there. I told you, incoherent. So let's start with this. Our country is being artificially induced by the money pouring through different things. What? What are you even talking about? If you know what he's talking about, please let me know. Okay? We're getting money from everywhere. Are you talking about the Fed? He said something about injecting money from the Fed. Well, when's the last time the Fed did quantitative easing? As far as I know, it was last year when the banks were failing and we're about to crash under Donald Trump as a result of COVID-19. And look, I'm not blaming Donald Trump for the market crash, okay? That's, again, a result of COVID-19. That said, he does deserve partial blame for not handling COVID-19 very well. And, of course, not being honest about the effects that COVID-19 would have on the United States and, of course, generally our economy. But anyway, let's go to infrastructure. So infrastructure, big surprise, he has no idea what he's talking about. There are two different bills right now. One is a bipartisan bill that comes out to about $1.2 trillion. That's negotiated between Democrats, Republicans, so it's bipartisan, and it had enough support to pass the Senate with Republican votes. So now in that, again, $1.2 trillion, about half of which comes from repurposed COVID money. So there's not an additional huge investment of cash. Okay. And so, all right. Now, that's still a significant investment in actual physical infrastructure. So roads, bridges, public transportation, broadband, because internet is incredibly important to have. I mean, obviously, look, I'm the guy that's doing news online, so yes, internet's incredibly important for me. It's also incredibly important for a lot of businesses now, especially ones that are doing work outside the office. Very, very important to do investments in broadband. Not only that, but you have upgrades to airports, ports, waterways, rebuilding the electric grid. God knows Texas needs that. Replacing lead pipes in places like Flint so they actually have clean water. And look, you can go through a lot of the reports about lead pipes, and it's not just Flint, it's cities all across the United States that have old lead pipe infrastructure that needs to be replaced. And look, in this $1.2 trillion bill, it was actually watered down quite a bit. You didn't get as much of an investment in a lot of these infrastructure projects that they were really hoping to get. Okay, but sure, only 11% infrastructure. Where did you even get that figure? You pulled it out of your butt. Now, the $3.5 trillion infrastructure, okay, now that's different. So that's the reconciliation bill. That actually, and it's a blueprint right now, so it's not even in it has not even evolved to its final form, which is likely to be probably worse, let's be honest. But it aims to include things like human infrastructure, meaning childcare, healthcare, even, climate change, which, hey, has effect on us humans. So now I say that this is a blueprint that's probably going to get watered down because you already have corporate lobbyists that are trying to say, "Ooh, no, too much on that. We can't have that. Nope. Let's reduce the spending. Let's reduce the tax rates on capital gains. Let's water this down as much as we can." So that said, he has no idea what he's talking about. Obviously. He has no idea what's in either bill because he didn't read it. It's 2,700 pages. Just the one bipartisan bill is 2,700 pages. And Donald Trump, he's a one-pager kind of guy. Remember, and this is one of the funniest stories to come out of the Trump administration, in my opinion. He had to, since he has no attention span, he had to have policy chopped up into bits, into tweet-length segments with his name peppered throughout them so that he would pay attention to what he's reading. One-pager kind of guy. He'd get bored. He'd get bored because he's not interested in reading, not interested in working. No, not even a one-page Cliff Note. No, half a page at most, filled with maps and killer graphics. So he kind of seems like the wrong person to talk about infrastructure, and basically what he's doing is regurgitating stuff that he saw on Fox News, which, of course, Fox Business. So now let's get to COVID. He had more to say on that. Now we get to the more bonkers part.
It's interesting that states that have been very open or more open have done better than the ones that are closed in terms of COVID itself. And we did a great job on COVID, including the fact that I got a vaccine done in less than 9 months,
Sure.
which would have taken 5 years. So I believe in the vaccine. I'm the one that got them to get it done. Without me, you wouldn't have it for 5 years, and you would have had millions of people throughout the world dead. You would have lost millions and millions of people. But with all of that said, I recommend people take it.
I mean, at least he recommends people take it, but then also had mentioned that he is against mandates. Yeah. But, look at me. I saved millions of people. No, you didn't. You saved absolutely no one. You didn't work in the lab. You sat around tweeting about how masks are bad and how, you should take hydroxychloroquine, or maybe you could inject bleach. A little bit of that. It'll be fine. No, you know who did the real work? Scientists, doctors. They developed the vaccine on technology that's actually been around for decades. mRNA vaccines have been the topic of research since the 1990s. And in 2005, to give you a little timeline, in 2005, there was a breakthrough in developing synthetic RNA. So this is RNA-based medicine, and they figured out how to do that and to do it safely and inject it safely into cells. Okay. And in 2014, Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, a researcher with the National Institute of Health in the United States, worked on a coronavirus biology and vaccine development. Dr. Corbett and colleagues studied the coronaviruses, including the signature spike protein and the role it could play in vaccine development. And of course, that led to what we have today. So no, you didn't do this in 9 months. The vaccine has actually been in development for years with the underlying science for decades. And that is thanks to forward-thinking scientists who were concerned about coronaviruses. Like, for example, SARS, and as well as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or MERS, in 2012. Those were coronaviruses that they had studied and thought something like that could happen again. We should really look into this mRNA technology. But you've got this asshole, Donald Trump, trying to steal the credit. They're always trying to steal valor from everybody else's achievements. Oh, did you do this? No, you didn't. I did it. It was me. It was all me. I'm very, very tremendous. I came up with it. I did the best. I saved millions of people. No, it only happened under your term. You had nothing to do with it. Okay? Now, your administration did smartly direct money, funding, towards getting the vaccine out. But as I've mentioned in previous segments, a lot of that was also a shit show. Yeah. So, now, as far as states that opened up that are doing better, you mentioned that. Well, doing better is pretty subjective, I should say. Depends on your metric. As far as like, oh, if you're doing better economically because you have the businesses that are open, I guess. But when it comes to people dying, when it comes to people getting sick and clogging up hospitals, not doing so well. In fact, Republican-controlled states like Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Florida, and Arkansas have a total of less than 10% left of their ICU bed capacity. Not good. They're getting slammed with COVID patients. Why? Well, because people aren't getting vaccinated. Because Donald Trump had originally played on anti-vaxxer tropes, fears, spread that, and did not encourage use of the vaccine, and encouraged these so-called miracle cures, alternative treatments, again, the hydroxychloroquines, and the other things like that, and now the ivermectins, and generally did not do anything to help, and helped make this situation worse. Even though he himself has already been vaccinated, it's too late. He played on these conspiracies, spread these conspiracies, and now, well, the monster has gotten away from him. Who knew that it would escape? And he also, as I mentioned, open it up. Open it up. Well, he also says, well, let's not do mandates. I'm against mandates. Well, if you do a mandate, you could actually open it up with less restrictions and not have people clog up hospitals. I know he doesn't care about the hospital. Oh, I don't care if it's those people. Who gives a crap, right? I just want to open it up and not actually do anything to make things safe. Well, we're trying to make things safe by doing a mandate. That's it. And by the way, open what up? We're pretty much already opened up. The only thing is that you have mask requirements for schools, which are open now, and you have the possibility of a vaccine passport for certain businesses, including, by the way, Fox News. We're not even closed. We never really had a proper lockdown. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So you could see the rest of that interview wasn't any much different. He sat there and lied almost for 2 straight minutes. And that's just in the clips that I showed you. The rest of the interview, full of fabrications, stealing credit, blaming Democrats for failures, on and on and on and on. And that's pretty much it. That's all you're going to get from this guy. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.